Welcome to the next in Enlit Asia's interview series. Today we're speaking with Vincent Bakker, Chief Financial Officer of Positive Energy, a renewable energy finance platform. Positive Energy have just completed an industry survey examining the impact of the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic on the renewable energy sector in Asia, and we've jumped at the chance to have a chat with him about his findings. Welcome, Vincent, and thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Simon.
Before we start, you're a young business, so it's possible that not all of our viewers have heard about you. Can you tell us a little bit about Positive Energy?
Yes, absolutely. So Positive Energy is a digital platform for renewable energy investments. We aim to simplify this whole investment process. Now, renewables is a very booming industry. Last year in Asia alone, $150 billion was invested. There is a large funding gap. Due to the size of the projects and the complexity of the investment process, many projects are left unfinanced. So on our digital platform, we bring together developers and investors to work together towards investment decision. We only launched in July, but by now we are already the largest platform in Asia with about $600 million of projects listed.
Great. And we're here to talk about the impact of COVID-19 on the renewable energy sector here in Asia, but how has it affected your business?
Well, to be honest, February was a bit scary. February, we saw most of the conferences being cancelled, and of course, conferences are really good for networking and business development. Mm-hmm. At the same time, many solar manufacturers shut their factories in China, so February was extremely bad. However, in March and April, people are getting used to the new normal, and we see activity on our platform picking up a lot. And that basically led us to the thought to analyze, okay, what's happening to the overall industry? Is it improving? Is it not improving?
Yeah, of course. So, on that note, you've just completed a survey looking at the impact of the ongoing pandemic on the region's renewable energy sector. Can you give us an overview of the renewable energy markets across the region in the current climate then? What's the impact today?
So basically the first question that we asked our respondents was, what do you see with your current activity levels? And not surprisingly, only a few percent actually saw an increase in activities. But however, if we look at the general impact, 50% sees a decrease in activities, which is more or less as expected. But 50% of the respondents does see activities be remaining roughly similar. So the impact is there, but not everyone is impacted. It's a bit different across geographies. India, with a much stricter lockdown, has seen a much larger decrease in activities. Southeast Asia, in general, except Singapore, also sees overall a decrease in activities. About 60% is more pessimistic about that. Singapore, on the other hand, sees a slight. That's what we need to cut out at the moment. Singapore, however, in most of the cases, sees activities remaining roughly similar.
Okay. And across Southeast Asia, are there any countries? Oh, sorry, I'm going to have to cut that out as well. Across Southeast Asia, are there any countries in particular that are slightly more buoyant? You mentioned that it's not perhaps terribly bright in the region. Are there any rays of sunshine?
I think Vietnam is in general showing slightly more positive response. And I guess that's all related to the level of the lockdown that has not been as strict and in fact is now being lifted. Whereas countries like Philippines are on an extremely strict lockdown, and that really hurts businesses, of course.
Sure. Do you think that people are stopping investing in renewables now that corporates' profits are all being forecasted to drop drastically?
So that exactly was our fear. Is there still money for renewable energy? Mm-hmm. I think the answer of that is yes, but potentially in a different way. Projects that already have been awarded will still be cost competitive versus coal or whatever they're competing with. Those projects are good investments and they'll go ahead. And investments, funds, and other corporates have allocated money for these sort of projects. At the same time, another big market that's evolving in Southeast Asia, rooftop solar, so C&I solar to save on the electricity bill. Energy saving and cost saving in general has never been more important as during a crisis, of course.
Mm-hmm. Sure. given the current climates, why are projects still ongoing? Where's the drive for this coming from? And considering the lack of power demand and the bleak economic forecasts we're hearing?
We've asked our people that, like, what do you see as the main driver for the decrease in activities? And interestingly enough, a lower power demand and a bad economic world has hardly been mentioned. The main reason for projects being on hold is very operational. People cannot travel, people cannot visit the sites, the shipments are not coming in. Very operational problems that will be solved. And I think that has to do with the general power market. Even though we see a drop in power demand, the biggest one since the Second World War, that drop is 8%. That's significant, but people are still using electricity.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Okay. You mentioned that about 50% of respondents have seen activity levels drop. Looking forward then, how does the second half of the year look? Do they see activity picking up in 2020, or are we looking more at sort of 2021?
Yes, we asked that indeed. What do you see in the second half year of 2020? Mm-hmm. And 60% of the people actually see renewable energy projects picking up rather than remaining at low levels. So people are moderately positive, I would say, about the second half year. And I think that relates to my first observation about the very operational nature. The travel restrictions, the not being able to do site visits, supply chain issues, they will be solved in the coming months one way or another. And when those are gone away, then there's no reason why projects would not continue.
Sure. Okay. So post-COVID-19 then, how do you see the future for renewable energy, particularly in Southeast Asia? Do you feel renewable energy can, in a way, seize the initiative and play a larger role in the ASEAN energy mix, or will the focus be on economic recovery and energy at all costs, really, ultimately denting the renewable energy forecast for that we were getting pre-COVID-19?
Yeah. What I expect is that a lot of the current activities in Asia are already of a very commercial economic nature when it comes to renewable energy. Solar power is simply the cheapest form of power. And with the continuous improved in efficiency and falling cost of panels, that drive will continue. So economic recovery and an increase in renewable energy, they can go hand in hand when it comes to building new capacity. And similarly, I think where it comes to businesses seeing opportunities for cost recovery, they will also continue to invest in solar panels on their roof. That's something that we already see happening in Vietnam. There might indeed be circumstances where the decarbonization is put on a bit of a back burner. These are not the times in which you force a existing coal power plant to retire. So when it comes to replacements of existing capacity, I could unfortunately see that economic recovery will prevail.
And finally, how does Positive Energy come out of the current situation? Where do you provide value, and how do you support the sector's growth?
So we come out very well out of these restrictions. We run a digital platform, and with all the restrictions, working online is the only way to go. We help investors and developers to remain active in these times of restrictions, and we expect that users will continue to use us after these restrictions are lifted.
Mm-hmm. Great. Well, Vincent, thank you very much for joining us today. Ladies and gentlemen, you can find more about Positive Energy at the links below this video, where you can also find a link to the report that they produced based on the findings of their industry survey. Vincent, thank you very much.
Thank you, Simon.